What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another FTN live stream. We have the MLB live crew here, myself and Javi Perlezzo, breaking down this very, very fun four-game slate. I know we had the nice little six-game early slate, so now we're back with a four-game small slate. I personally don't love the small slates, but it's a great opportunity to talk some stuff that we don't normally get to talk about when we have the massive slate. So as you guys can see, we have the brand new optimizer live on the screen right now. We're going to be running through some of the kind of features that the optimizer has. Again, it is free right now over on ftndaily.com. It's free for NFL, MLB, and PGA up until Monday. So if you guys haven't been checking that out, you should definitely get on that now. Javi, how are you feeling about the slate today? And you want to talk about the optimizer a little bit? Do whatever you want.
Sure. Yeah. The slate's interesting, man. I haven't really seen any weather concerns too much. We got all the lineups confirmed, at least the ones that I want. But yeah, Kyle, I'm just taking a stand. I'm just gonna play Reds. I'm just gonna play Brewers, and I'm just gonna play Dodgers. I think. I wrote up the Yankees as a fade, so I think that's where I'm headed right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a good time to take a stand. You know, we talk about a lot on these four-game slates. It's a good time to either completely go the other way that the public's going, in which we can talk about some ways in which we can do that in a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to break down the slate. We're going to start with the pitchers, go to the stacks, talk about some of our favorite individual hitters, maybe do some home run calls, and then we'll talk about the optimizer a little bit. We did start at 6:30, so we have about a half hour until slate locked. So let's get right into these pitchers here. Starting at the top, we have some decent talents here. Obviously, we have Brandon Woodruff up at the top, 9-2 on DraftKings. I think that price is wildly cheap. I think it might have been cheap because they thought Walker Buehler was going to pitch today. Walker Buehler, I believe, was priced at 10-6. So now we just don't have anybody on this slate over 10K, which is a bit of a weird scenario, especially when it's Brandon Woodruff on the slate. Him and Castillo up at the top. They're actually the only two pitchers on the slate over 8K. So how are you feeling about those guys? They're going to have massive ownership. I have them both up over 65%. Castillo's pushing 70% on DraftKings in terms of projected ownership. So how are you feeling about those two? You can kind of touch on them within the ownership as well.
I mean, I'm just gonna eat the chalk. It's a 4-game slate, Kyle. Nothing's gonna be. I mean, it's okay to eat the pitching chalk, and I just don't see a reason to avoid Woodruff here. He's going to have a long leash because Peralta got hurt. So the bullpen's probably a little tired. Plus, it's getting towards the end of the season here. So, I mean, for me, I just find it tough not to play them. I mean, if you want to go pivot off someone, it's maybe Tyone going against the Twins. Twins have been underwhelming. Plus, they sold at the deadline. So, I don't know, Kyle. I mean, I feel like it's Woodruff and Castillo, and then move on.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty tough not to go there specifically with a guy like Woodruff, who I think is the most talented pitcher on the slate. I think he's up there in terms of probably top 15 in the MLB this year. So he's been very good all year long. So I like him a lot. I also like Castillo and a good matchup here against Miami. We've been talking about it. Them and the Cubs and a little bit of the Nationals. They just become two of the most attackable offenses in baseball right now when you're talking about looking for pitchers. So Castillo and Woodruff, I agree with you. I think it's tough chalk to avoid. So in terms of the ownership, those two are at the top, up near 70%, and then we have Jameson Tyone at 35%. Is where I have them right now on DraftKings, and after that, nobody else over 10%. So it looks like those three are taking up a lot of the ownership. How are you feeling about Tyone as maybe a punt play on DraftKings, or how are you going to approach that?
Yeah, I think he's fine, Kyle, but I don't know, man. I don't see we target against St. Louis and that offense. You're talking about it. I think yesterday with David that they haven't been striking out as much, but I mean, it's just been a roller coaster with their strikeouts, really. I think it's fine. And Woodruff presents a ton of upside, and I think he's going to have a long leash. So, God, I just don't see a path of getting too cute and going off of Woodruff or Castillo here. I think Tyone, maybe if you're doing like 10 lineups, having him in like 2, but I don't think I'm going to have any right now in the 3 lineups I have.
Yeah, I think it's somewhat unique because he does project as a decent value for me, but we've seen him have some good starts, but we've also seen him be very prone to getting blown up at times, right? So I think potentially stacking against him could be a good leverage move. I don't know if I want to stack against Woodruff. I guess you could do it against Castillo because again, like we talk about this all the time, you and I, on like on a small slate like this, a 4-game slate, maybe even on an early slate at times where you just have 4 or 5 games. Just going right against the chalk is a good way to get a ton of leverage. If Castillo blows up, you have not only chalk that's busting, but then you're maybe on these Miami bats Now I'm not high on Miami, but again, on a 4-game slate, I'm definitely going to have some of them if I'm doing more than 5 lineups. I think it's just really nice to get quick leverage by just attacking some volatile chalk. Like we've seen Castillo get blown up a ton this year. Sure, he's been much better recently, but we know that he has been prone to getting blown up at times so far this year. So how are you feeling about that strategy on a small slate?
No, I think it's fine. It's totally fine to go that route. Just for me, Kyle, I mean, if you want, like, I'm doing 4 lineups just because I'm going to fade Castillo in one and Woodruff in one. But for the most part, it's Woodruff and Castillo for me. So I don't know, Kyle. It's just tough to get off this, especially in a 4-game slate. I mean, these two have the highest upside, and it's Miami.
Yep, 100%. I agree. Any other pitchers you want to touch on? I know there's not really many other options
No,
there.
those are the only 3, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I couldn't even imagine. I mean, Taiwan Walker did have a nice start last time out against the Dodgers, but not something I'm looking to rely on repeating. Definitely not rostering John Lester. No interest in Gant. No interest in Nieder. Bickford, who knows how long he's even going to be out there for. So I agree. I think those top 3 guys, but for me, primarily Woodruff and Castillo. So I think that is the way to go. So on to stacks. Any stacks you want to touch on first?
Yeah, our boy Nick Nieder's on the mound. We got to play the Reds, right? I mean, it's in Cincinnati too, going against the Marlins and Nick Nieder and that terrible bullpen. I mean, it's what, bottom 5 bullpen in the major leagues in the last 14 days. So yeah, I'm targeting against these Marlins, and I'm definitely going to stack against them. So they're the ones that stick out to me the most. I think the Dodgers are going to go severely underowned, and I wrote this up in my article. Like, Taiwan Walker, 6 of his last 7 starts have been bad. Like, he has been. I honestly think he's fatigued. We're at the point where these pitchers are just like throwing BP out there because they might be too tired. And come playoffs, they're probably not going to be starting pitchers either, because probably moved to the bullpen because of fatigue. So Dodgers finally broke through yesterday. So I like him again, Kyle. I think this is a phenomenal spot to jump right back on the Dodgers bandwagon, especially after they were low owned yesterday, which was crazy. Because I mentioned in Discord, I was like, I'm going back to them today. This is a great spot. So I think they're definitely in play here, and I'm a big fan of the Dodgers tonight.
Yeah, I think they're definitely in play. Taiwan Walker at times, again, another similar guy to Castillo, where we've seen him really pitch well at times, but he's also struggled, right? So I wouldn't be surprised to necessarily see that happen again. So totally fine with that. And I do think they'll have a bit lower ownership. So that's always appealing, right? So yeah, I think Dodgers are fine. You mentioned the Reds. I think they're the top stack of the day for me. They were number 2 in the stack rater, and then Nick Nieder got announced a starter, and that guy is quite bad. So they were already ranking out against Zach Thompson as a decent stack. Again, this team's been extremely, extremely hot lately, right? And they were also getting a matchup against Thompson, who he's also pitched decently well, but now it's a severe downgrade in my opinion to go to Nieder, who again I don't know how deep he'll go into the game necessarily, but yeah, I'm not counting on it being a good start from Nieder. So Red's definitely my top stack. What's your what would be your third team tonight?
I wrote up the Yankees as a fade. I don't think I'm going to play. If I'm doing 4 lineups, which that's the plan right now, I think I do use them in one. But for me, it's going to be the Brewers. It's John Lester on the mound, right? When you target against John Lester, he's way past his prime. I just like this lineup from top to bottom. They've been also one of the best offenses in the last 15 to 30 days. So that's it's pretty impressive here that I think the Brewers are going to go overlooked, which is crazy to me. But again, it's a 4-game slate. Maybe they don't go overlooked. I just don't. I think the Yankees are a trap play here. John Gant, he's primarily a ground ball pitcher. He didn't allow a home run for a very long time. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan here
Yeah, so you're a big fan of the Brewers?
of the Brewers. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like it's tough to ever get behind not stacking against John Lester, right? Like I just don't think he's very good anymore. And also he increases some of the event based points where you can get stolen bases on him because he doesn't do a good job at holding on runners. People can get bags on him very easily as well. And then also you factor in that this Milwaukee team's been pretty good. And against lefties, you have a couple of guys who are very, very good against left-handed pitching. Willy Adames and Avisail Garcia are the 2 that come to mind. Obviously, you have Yelich as well, who He's been fine lefty on lefty throughout the majority of his career. Hasn't been as great this year as he probably would like. This year against lefties, he has a 175 ISO, so probably again not as high as you would like out of Yelich, but still, I'm not scared of him in a lefty on lefty matchup. And some of these righties, Adames Escobar is going to bat righty against Lester Garcia. You have even Manny Pena. So I think there's a lot of value in this Brewer stack, so I can get behind it for sure.
Yeah, no, and Willie Adames turned into Aaron Judge coming over to the Brewers. So he's probably my favorite player from the Brewers.
Yeah, I can get behind that. So you mentioned you're not as high in the Yankees as maybe some of the public is.
No, I think it's a trap, man. Again, I didn't like. We saw a blow up game from John Gant earlier this year, but he was actually not terrible for the most part. So he's not a guy that I like to stack against. He's not a guy that allows a ton of power. He's only allowed 7 home runs all year. It's not a lot when you consider how many starts he's made. I mean, he's probably going to be an opener though. He hasn't gone past 2 innings or 2 1/3 innings in the last 15 appearances. So I think he's just going to be an opener, but maybe they stretch him out as a starter again. So who knows?
Yeah, for sure. That the one thing that I noticed about Gann is the walk numbers this year have been pretty bad. 15.5% walk rate compared to an only 18% strikeout rate. These Yankees, they like to strike out. That's the one thing they do like to do, but they also have some pop. As we know, they added Rizzo, they added Gallo, and Rizzo's still very cheap. He was super cheap yesterday, and his price didn't move at all. So he's 3.7. So I do like him a pretty good amount. And again, the Gallo too, like he's also pretty cheap, 4,500 over there. So on DraftKings anyway. So I think you can get some Yankees guys who potentially aren't as expensive as you might like. I mean, if you were looking to fade them. So I'm with you there. I'm probably a little bit higher in the Yankees than you are, but I do have them as the most popular team on the board today. So I think that's pretty interesting. Any other stacks you want to touch on?
Nope, that's it. I mean, it's only 8 teams to choose from. With like 3 of the pitchers, dumps it down to 5, and I really just want the Brewers, the Reds, and the Dodgers here.
Yeah, I do think I'll have a good amount of Minnesota just because I think they do provide a ton of leverage, and we've seen Tyone struggle with power at times. 175 ISO or allowed or higher against both sides of the plate, and then when you're talking about some of the matchup stuff, you have Kepler, Polanco, Donaldson, Sano, and even Ryan Jeffers all with the 200 ISO or higher against right-handed pitching so far this year. So I do like these Minnesota bats as a leverage stack, and also they're pretty cheap. Polanco on DraftKings, he's 3,200. He is super expensive on FanDuel at 3,700. But Donaldson's also cheap on DraftKings at 3,200. He's 3K on FanDuel. Kepler as well, not necessarily cheap, but affordable, 3,700 on DraftKings. So I do like this stack as more of a value stack. They're definitely my favorite value stack of the day, and I think they provide a ton of leverage because I think Tyone is going to be that third option behind Castillo and Woodruff. So I think nice leverage here with these Twins. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, Tyone is definitely my 3rd favorite pitcher. I wrote up Thompson, but Thompson's not in there anymore, so it's neater. I know Stump was asking about that. So Tyone's going to be my 3rd option here. Again, if I'm doing 4 lineups, which is the plan now, it's Woodruff and Castillo in 2, and then I'm going to have Woodruff and Tyon, and then Castillo and Tyon. I mean, we can have a slate where no pitcher goes over 20 points, and a 10 burger by Tyon doesn't kill you, but I can't stack against him, Kyle. I don't know. I'm taking stands here though.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Again, I'm just using him as as a leverage option there. But okay, let's talk about some other hitters, individual hitters. What are your thoughts on maybe some home run calls?
So yeah, I mean, for me, the teams that I like, I'm gonna go with a Jonathan India leadoff home run, right? If it does not lead off, he's gonna get a home run. I'm on India though. I like this game because it's in Cincinnati, so he's gonna be one of mine. I'm gonna call Trey Turner. I feel like I've been calling him for a while. I think he's gonna hit one out tonight against Taiwan Walker. Since I already called a leadoff home run, I'm not gonna do that, another leadoff home run. Plus, he hasn't homered as a Dodgers yet, so as a Dodgers player. So I think today's the day. And then the 3rd guy I'm going to go is Willie Adames. So those are the 3 that I like, Kyle, and those are the 3 I'm sticking with here.
Cool. Let's see. Who do I have? I want to go back to my article because I did list 3 home run calls in my article, and I think I'm just going to stick with them. You went Adames. I'm going to go Garcia. He did homer twice last night, so he's seeing the ball well. So I got Garcia, Max Kepler, and Joey Gallo. What are your thoughts on those calls?
Joey Gallo's fine. I mean, the guy's either going to hit a home run or strike out 17 times in a row. So, yeah, I don't hate it. I actually do like the Rizzo call. You got Luke Voigt leading off today too, which is pretty weird, but I prefer Rizzo. I mean, you have to choose one first baseman on DK, so Rizzo's the guy that I'm choosing here.
Yep. Okay. I'll give you a minute. I'm going to update some stuff in the optimizer, and I'll let you talk about some value plays that you like, or maybe some, slate stuff. So just give me a few minutes. You can talk about those. I'll update the optimizer, and then we'll get to the optimizer stuff.
Okay, cool. So just looking at value. So a lot of times we run into a last guy in kind of situation. So you need a one-off here. You need a value guy. So on DK, I look for somebody under 3K that's going to be the top value guy of the day. So for me, I again, I don't like the Yankees, but for a one-off, just a $200 more, I think it's Higgy season. I'm a big fan of Higashioka. He has been struggling for most of the year, especially when he took over the starting spot. So, but again, 4-game slate, he's going to be a one-off. I like him there today. At 3,500, the guy I'll probably land on is Miguel Sano. He's 2,800 on DK. He's going to be my value guy. Again, I like Tyone, but I think as a one-off here, even if you happen to land on, Sano and you have Taillon in there, if Sano gets a home run, it's not going to kill Taillon altogether. So I like that. Going to second base for value. My favorite is probably Isan Diaz. Obviously not a good player, but he's got double digits in 4 of his last 6 starts. He's going against Castillo, who can allow a ton of hard contact. So I like him there as a value. I don't like playing him against Castillo, but if you land on it, again, it's not going to kill you if he gets 1 home run. Third base, it's a little tougher for me, but I guess Arias against Tyone will be the guy that I land on. But again, don't love it. Shortstop, the guy I'm landing on is just $500 more, which is Kyle Farmer. I like him because he's going against Nick Neidert. So like him a lot there. So not a 3K or under guy, but that's the guy that I'm going to pick as the last guy in. And then going in here, 3K or below, I'll give you 2 guys. Tyler Naquin, 2,300, batting second. Yeah, that's an obvious misprice. But also he has not, he started off the year really well, but he's struggled a little bit lately, but he's got double digits in 2 of his last 3 games. So I like him in this spot going against Nick Neidert. And then the last guy I'll touch on is going to be someone who's a little over 3,300, but is Lorenzo Kane. Again, not a ton of upside, but he does present some stolen base upside. He does have double digits in 3 of his last 6 starts. So at 3,300, I don't mind him. And there's the must-haves value play of the day. Last guy in.
I like it. Cool. Yeah, I mean, you covered a lot of the value plays there, so appreciate doing that. So let's hop over to the optimizer, and we're gonna walk through, building a few lineups here. I wanna do this together with you, and we're gonna talk about some of our favorite stacks and some of the stacking features, right? So one thing that I like to do with the stack is, if we're doing 20 lineups, let's say I want 40% 5-3 stacks, 40%. Actually, we'll go 40-40, and then for the 4-3s, we'll go 20. So just real quick.
This is FanDuel or DK?
This is DK. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
DraftKings. So we're going to do 3 different types of stack: the 5-3, the 4-4, and the 4-3. So now obviously those have to total up to 100, and then we'll choose our favorite stack. So you mentioned Cincinnati. We'll go 20% Cincinnati. You mentioned LA. We'll go 10% LA. I'll go 10% Miami. We'll go 5% Miami. We'll go 5% Miami. 10% Minnesota though. 15% New York.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee. We'll go 20% Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll leave those
50,
15.
80%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that you don't necessarily need to equal 100,
Okay.
but it'll definitely help if you equal 100. So then for Mets, we'll go 5, and we'll go 5 for St. Louis, just so that we have, it's a 4-game slate. Why not give ownership to all the teams, right? So now we're going to go through pitching. These are the pitchers that are in the optimizer right now. We obviously don't want Bickford, don't want Lester, don't want Neidert, don't want Gant. Now I'll leave Walker in there, but I'm going to cap his exposure at like 15%. I don't want a ton of him.
Right.
So we're going to run 20 lineups here. A couple other things that you can do, salary cap. It's a shorter slate, so I'm not going to get too crazy with leaving, a ton of salary on the table, but I'll say we'll leave, up to I don't know, 1,200 on the table or something like that. If you wanted to, if you're playing in a big tournament, you could cap the amount of salary that it's going to be in your lineups. If you don't want the uniques, or the duplicates, I should say, that is the David Jones 101 trick in showdowns and in smaller slates. Make sure you're leaving salary on the table. Like I mentioned, I'll do 20 lineups for it. We'll cap the ownership at, let's say, 250. Again, it's going to be a big slate. Like the one thing about the ownership cap is people are always asking, what should I cap my ownership at? It's going to change. Like we have two pitchers that are getting up there 70% projected ownership. That's 140 right there. So keep in mind the ownership cap's going to vary for every slate. Next thing, optimal mode versus tournament mode. I'll explain this in some of the tutorials that are going to be coming out on the site tonight and tomorrow. But tournament mode is basically a shuffle. It'll shuffle in players more, I guess, more intelligently to kind of get a nice diversification in some of your lineups with some of those top projected players. We're going to build these lineups by fantasy points. We're going to go 3 unique players. The browser versus server doesn't really matter. It just basically depends on how your browser's running. Allow hitters versus opposing pitchers. This is a good one. Typically, we want 0, but on a 4-game slate, I think leaving 1 is fine. I'll say 1 to 2 is okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just cap it at 1.
Yeah. Cap it at
Um,
1.
yeah. So again, on a big slate, probably leaving this at 0, but on a 4-game slate, I think sometimes it's okay. This is another cool tool. Again, probably tough to use on a 4-game slate, but you can force certain amount of players into your lineup that are under a certain projected ownership number, which is also very cool. So let's say we want to make sure we have 1 player in every lineup that's under 10% projected ownership. And then randomization, it's basically just variance. Most of you guys will understand that. It'll apply a variance to a projection. So say some builds, it'll assign a 10% boost or a 10% decrease to the player's projection just to account for some wacky things that happen. It's baseball. You can actually boost this up a little bit. Sometimes it'll be around not 115, but like 15% or something like that. You can kind of do different things with it. And a cool part about that is you can actually work with the back test feature to maybe figure out which settings you like most. But let's run 20 lineups. Hopefully I didn't constrict it too much. I got pretty so yeah, only 17 teams can be generated. So I got pretty picky with some of the settings here, especially with making sure that 1 player was going to be under 20%. But again, you guys got a feel for me running these 20 lineups in here. We're 17.
Dang, look at that. Reds. Let's
Yeah.
go.
And a cool thing about it is instead of scrolling through and reading each player to figure out which stacks are actually in the lineup, they're actually colored. So you can see these reds are colored in purple or whatever it is, pink, I don't know. And then the Mets are in orange. So stack 1 is purple, stack 2 is orange. Same thing throughout the whole entire build. So you can kind of get a feel for which lineups are being stacked and which teams are in those stacks. So that's a quick little rundown. Again, this optimizer is free right now on the site for PGA, MLB, and NFL, which is live for the showdown slate. And also week 1 is actually live. So you can go check it out. I put some first run projections up there. Again, they're very rough draft. It's 3 weeks out, but they're up there to be up there. So Javi, how are you feeling about the optimizer? Any kind of
Dude,
remarks?
this is great. I love especially the colors. It sounds like a child. I love all the colors here. No, I like how it differentiates it so you can see who's on the different. If you scroll down a little bit, is there one that shows up maybe with like a 5-2-1 maybe?
So you can do that if you want. So that would be up here. So we could do 5-2, but I actually left those out. I did only 4-4,
Okay.
only 5-3, and only 4-3.
I want to see the 3 colors because I like
Yeah.
colors, so that's what I know. But the color feature is awesome. I can't wait for football too because I do MME for that. I don't MME for baseball. I still do the hand builds, but for football, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to do double stacking season with the bring back. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. And obviously, again, we're doing this live on a show while we're breaking down the slate. So if you're looking for more information on the optimizer, go get in our Discord. We'll be answering questions in there, and then check out the optimizer tutorials I'll be rolling out here. I'm gonna have one up tonight, and I'll have one up tomorrow, and then next week as well. But another thing, you can check out the stacks. So 8 teams were used in 1 stack. I really think that's a good strategy for this slate. Like even though maybe you don't have a ton of interest in Miami or St. Louis because they're going against Castillo and Woodruff, getting 5% of them, getting them in 1 lineup just to ensure that you have some exposure to them. Again, this isn't a 20-team build or a 20 lineup build. You can check out some of the combinations as well. And then say you don't want 23% Cincinnati. I think Javi and I are on board with that number. I think that number is cool with me. But say you didn't want 23% Cincinnati, you can go ahead and cap them at maybe 10% or whatever you want it to do there. So a lot of things that you can do here with the optimizer, cool stuff here. And obviously you can go through each position and kind of figure out the exposures there. I love the min max exposure. I think that is a must in optimizers. If I'm looking at a lineup, right, or at a build, and I'm saying, okay, Mike Moustakas at 6%, like I know I want 10% Mike Moustakas. To be able to do that is huge, and that's very important for me. And then maybe even the other way, if you're not as high on the Yankees, right? Maybe you don't want 35% Luke Voigt. Let's cap him at maybe 20%, right? That's a big bonus for me there. That is a must for me in optimizers that I use.
Yeah, that is pretty big, Kyle. And not only that, I mean, I believe this show's free. I hope I
Yeah, it
didn't just
is.
say that.
Yeah.
So remember, if you are an NFL sub, you get MLB for free. So if you're not signed up today and you want to give it a whirl, test out your run on the optimizer with MLB to prepare you for NFL. Obviously, it's different stacking, but this is the best way to do it. And this is the latest and greatest. This is probably one of the best optimizers. And we've only had it for what, 2 days, Kyle? So
Yeah, yep. So we had it for 2 days. We've been working on it before it was published a lot, so we are very happy with it, and it's definitely a lot of fun to use. Makes life a lot easier. But a couple things while this is free, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, and because it really helps us a ton, and maybe that'll allow us to bring some more free shows to the YouTube side of things. If you're watching this on Twitter, thank you for watching. Go ahead and give a follow to whatever account you're watching this on. It might be my account, it might be one of the FTN accounts, whatever. Appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you liked the show. But that's going to be it for us. Javi, are you back tomorrow?
I am back tomorrow. I
Javi
will
and
be.
David, Javi and David got you guys covered tomorrow for, I believe it's a big MLB slate. So they will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, good luck, everybody.